There are many shocking stories in the news. Brett Kavanaugh, someone tried to kill him. Protesters went back to his house. You can tell I'm pretty upset about that one. January 6th committee, they say it was an insurrection, a coup attempt. Wow. Really does sound like this country is falling apart. Then, of course, you have my personal story where we faced a credible threat and the police had to come in. And then you also have the story of Jeremy Hambley from the Quartering. He also got swatted right afterwards. Man, it really does sound like societal collapse. Well, this story I have for you in this 1 p.m. segment is not about chaos, conflict, and fighting. It is about, I think, just desperation, shock content, and social degradation. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Postmates release of their first ever bottom menu for Pride. Mashable says corporate pride just got a little weirder. Postmates is standing by the ad they produced, which is overt instruction on... I got to pause for a second. I don't know how to describe what's going on with this advertisement without getting in trouble on YouTube. I think I'm going to have to rely on euphemisms and innuendo for adults to understand. But that being said, let me show you this from Mashable. They released their first ever bottom menu for Pride, and they depict an eggplant in leathers and several peaches in jock straps. They say in the last few years, corporations have been trying to capitalize on Pride Month, usually by adorning rainbow logos or releasing rainbow merchandise. This year, however, Pride campaigns are cranking up the sexual innuendo, all while conservatives are calling us groomers, but I digress. Burger King Austria, for example, released their Pride Whopper featuring burgers with 2 top buns and 2 bottom buns. That is stupid. That's not how it works at all. Although, I got to be honest, the top bun has the sesame seeds on it and it's better, you know? So, okay, all right. Anyway, food delivery app Postmates is now taking it a step further with Eat with Pride, a first ever bottom-friendly menu. Postmates partnered with, you ready for this one? Anal surgeon and sexual health expert Dr. Evan Goldstein develop a menu for those who want, those who want to engage in adult activities, you know, from behind. If you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want, said the ad narrator, comedian Rob Anderson. But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve. Not this Pride. The tops are portrayed as eggplants and bottoms as peaches, of course. The ad goes on to list some foods that the bottom should avoid the day before adult activities, like whole grains, cauliflower, and legumes that contain insoluble fiber. This means they can't dissolve in water and are harder to flush out. If you catch my drift, instead, they recommend foods with soluble fiber and protein, such as white rice, citrus, fish, as these digest easily and slowly. The menu will offer bottom-friendly dishes from restaurants in New York and LA. I just feel like this right here is indicative of societal collapse. And I'll explain. First, I got no issue with, 2 people who want to hook up and do their thing. Man, man, woman, woman, man, woman, woman, man, whatever. The issue is that these advertising agencies, what they're trying to do is shock you enough to get attention. Well, it's working, but it's gone over the hill, right? What I mean is there's a point where you're climbing up, you're shocking, and you get to the top, and people are just like, wow, my mind is blown by their edginess. This is going over the hill and going down it. This is them saying, please look at me, and we'll make overt advertisements. And this is not going to generate you the positive attention you think it will. Even people on the left are calling it gross, saying it's inappropriate. They're calling it weird. They go on to mention it will only be available in New York and LA. But at least we can all marvel at the evolution of corporate pride. They're ragging on it. Not every organization is. We got this one from Out. Postmates is offering a bottom-friendly menu for Pride Month. I just think is absolutely nuts. And I want to point a few things out. So, well, first, let me just show you some of the responses. Then I'll point some things out. Postmates said, you shouldn't miss a good meal for a good time. That's why this Pride we've teamed up with Dr. Evan Goldstein and Smart Throb to create the world's first bottom-friendly menu. Yep, it's real. They know what they're going to do is cause shock and offense. But why? Do you think this is going to result in more customers for you? Do you think look, I am not offended by two dudes that want to go hook up. Like Dave Rubin's a friend of mine. He's a gay married guy. I don't care. He probably does stuff that doesn't affect me and I don't want to know about in the privacy of his own home. What is the goal of this advertisement? Do you think these people are going to be like, I love this idea that you're publicizing these kinds of things? Do you think they're happy with this stuff being shoved in front of people's faces? Now, I'll tell you this. Some people are probably laughing, saying good. Some conservatives are probably going like, oh, well, I never. My attitude is like, it's fake. It's completely fake. They're trying to make you angry. It is shock content. Take a look at how they're responding to people. They said in LA, feel your best and eat your best with bottom-friendly options, blah, blah, blah. In New York, this guy, Jen Maximus, said, honestly, this is the level of pride other corps should strive for. If you're not literally helping us have sex, can you really call yourself an ally? And Postmates responded, exactly. We're tired of heterosex being the main focus of sex ed. Homosexual sex, specifically bottoming, is all too often omitted and stigmatized. Not this year. Okay. Tell me exactly where mainstream corporations selling food are producing ads advising straight couples on how to affect their bodies in certain ways for specific adult activities. Maybe I just don't see them. Maybe that's on me. But I can't actually go into this stuff on YouTube. For one, it is not appropriate for general viewing. YouTube might already take action against the video for even talking about what Postmates did. I just don't see this as being, I don't see how this is going to actually sell food. It's crazy, isn't it? So let me point something out. I remember back in 2008, conversation around gay marriage. Barack Obama, he opposed it. Yeah, Barack Obama was in favor of civil unions. He didn't, he wasn't in favor of it. Donald Trump was the first president to support gay marriage after before getting elected. So, I genuinely have to wonder. Look at this. We want to thank our advisors and partners. In it, it says, Dr. Evan Goldstein, Rob Anderson, PsyOp, screen novelties. What? It's just so weird, isn't it? I think what they did was they sat down and said, can we craft a narrative? Can we craft a video that's going to make people on YouTube complain about it or talk about it? So this is the game they play. Now, I do think they've succeeded in their goal. Here I am. I do think it's going to result in Postmates losing customers, not gaining them. I don't see the positive here, which is why I believe it's indicative of collapse. There's no more shock you can give that would actually be good for your brand. The only shock left is people being like, grossed out, please, I want nothing to do with this. Yeah, I'm not going to be using Postmates anytime soon. This is weird. I think I think what it is pathetic, manipulative. But anyway, I'll go back to 2008. I remember hearing all of these arguments that if we allowed gay marriage, if we had gay marriage in this country, it would result in sex ed explaining, gay activities to children and things like that. It would result in all of these really negative things. And I was told over and over again, that's ridiculous. The only thing that's going to happen is that gay people will get married. And what they do in the privacy of their own homes is their business, not yours. No. Well, I agree with that. I think that if there are going to be civil union rights, and I mean in a general term, it has to be extended to everybody. So if marriage is a legal institution, not a religious one, as they would argue, that grants you certain rights, no, in my personal opinion, two people who choose to love each other should be afforded those same rights. Now, some people have argued it would lead to polygamy and things like that. I don't think so. And the reason is the legal institution is for two individuals to bond. That means if we recognize that with men and women, then we have to recognize that without discrimination. So anyone of any race, anyone of any gender, two people can form a civil union, a bond. Now, I guess the issue they argue is that civil unions, for some reason, never encompassed all of the rights of marriage, so they wanted marriage. Marriage, however, is ultimately an Abrahamic institution, which is intertwined with our legal system, so there's questions there. But I digress. What ended up happening was they said it was about love. No, it's about sex, and this is a perfect example. This is not about love, it's about sex. They're not talking about being with the person you like and eating healthy to make sure you're... No, they're literally making tons of sexual references. They're showing leathers and jock straps. They could have done this in the same way with the bottom-friendly menu, although bottom-friendly itself is rather is a bit innuendo. But they could have shown two people wearing normal clothes, and they could have shown them like cuddling, and it could have said eat right and be prepared or whatever. It still, in my opinion, would have been particularly sexualized, but it would have been better than what they did here, overtly sexualizing it. The issue is we don't get commercials from Postmates where it's like talking about bodily fluids or anything like that between straight couples. There have been commercials about straight sex, but those are typically when they involve products around that issue. There have also been issues around. There have also been commercials for gay people. I mentioned this, a month ago. I saw a commercial for a dating app, and the example they used, the ad they used, was for a gay interracial couple. My point there was like, how prominent are gay interracial couples that they would make a commercial thinking it would be relatable? They didn't think it would be relatable. They think it would virtue signal. Now, again, people want to use the app for whoever they love. I don't care. If you're a dude and you want to hook up with a dude and you're interracial, I'm like, hey, more power to you, man. You do your thing. Leave me out of it. That's your life, right? But the commercial itself was very obviously trying to pander to a political ideology and not to people, which is exactly what this is. When we talk about what's going on with kids and the drag queen story hours, the drag queen kids shows, and the drag shows for kids, yeah, we say grooming. This right here is in line with that, which, brings me back to that article I was reading, where over at Mashable, they say, all while conservatives are calling us groomers. Pride campaigns are cranking up the sexual innuendo, parentheses, all while conservatives are calling us groomers, but I digress. Is this your article from Mashable? They say why the groomer smear is terrible for LGBTQ mental health. If you are an LGBTQ person minding your own business and loving who you love, I got no issue. If you wear a pride flag and dance around, I've got no issue. If you wave a pride flag marching down the street, also no issue whatsoever. Actually, my perspective there is, good for you. Like, congratulations. It's good. Speak out your mind. If you're going to children and explaining to them sexual activities, okay, now I'm having issues. Are the parents involved? Do you have parental consent? If you do, okay, well, if you don't, that shouldn't be okay. We had Tommy Altman on the show twice. First time we got a credible threat. People keep saying it was a swatting. It was a credible threat. I'm going to repeat this. People keep saying we got swatted. We got a credible threat. There's a difference. The swattings are when the police think there's an issue. A credible threat is when we take action. People are like, don't the police know by now? I'm tired of hearing it. Anyway, where was I? The groomer smear is terrible for LGBTQ mental health. When you're going after kids, yeah, we've got issues. When you are trying to keep it a secret from parents, we've got issues. When parents are simply saying that we want to know what's going on with schools, we accept that. Which brings me back to my point about Tommy Altman. We had him on the show twice. The first time, you see what happened. Tommy's a guy who filed a lawsuit. He was trying to challenge a couple books. The left says they're trying to ban books from schools. Yeah, I love it. I think it was Media Matters. They made fun of. They were like, Tim Pool often uses these voices. I'm like, oh, I'll cry about it. Tommy Altman filed a lawsuit saying this book is obscene and it requires parental consent. The book can remain in the school, but parents have to sign off on it if their kids are going to read it. Wow. I think most conservatives were like, your kids shouldn't be looking at that stuff. But Tommy was just like, if the parents sign off on it, then that's up to them. Amazing. Not actually even banning the book. See, these books have gratuitous adult activities in them, and they're trying to sneak them in front of children. What does it mean now when these commercials are being displayed and you have kids maybe on the internet seeing that? There's an argument about where grooming begins. What constitutes grooming? I'll put it this way. If there is a sexualized culture and you introduce it to children without involving the sexualized aspects, you are grooming them. Which means drag shows for kids are grooming. Now, what I've said before is there is a challenge to if someone is just dressing up in a costume and dancing at a family friendly venue, and I mean literally like an all ages venue or cafe, you're going to be hard pressed to do anything about that. Doesn't mean they're not grooming. It's just not illegal to dress up and dance on stage, and that's it. They are grooming, though, because the next step in that drag show is removing clothing. Now, they might not do it for these little kids, but when the little kids get older and go to the old... I remember drag shows, they'll say. This time, the people are taking their clothing off. Uh-oh. Now they're stripping. Yeah, that's stripping. So what you're doing is you're normalizing a simple aspect of it so that these kids view it in a way that they it's normal to them. That way you can introduce the next degree. That's what grooming is. And that's what they're doing. These commercials may not be illegal. They're inappropriate. And they do introduce an element of grooming. It's that simple. Little kids will see that. And they will be told that these things, these ideas, what's being shown are normal. They'll ask about it. Now, again, the challenge is, are parents consenting? If you want to talk to kids about man-on-man relationships, well, then you're talking about sex ed, and I think parents should sign off on that because parents should decide when it's appropriate for their kids. It is only grooming in a sense that your intent, I suppose, is to drive them in a certain direction. But talking to children about traditional marriage also requires parental consent under Florida's new law. Previously, sex ed was the specific, bodily function stuff. But if they're going to expand it to, relationships and all that, it's like, okay, whatever, parents should sign off on it. Then you get to what the left responds with. They're like showing kids with guns saying it's grooming. I mean, technically, but grooming typically refers to sexualized activities. Having guns isn't sexualized. Talking to kids about marriage, you could argue, is grooming. But the idea is supposed to be, are you seeking to abuse them? I believe in this instance, you are seeing people who are. A parent who talks to their child about growing up and having, these things happen to them, like their bodies are changing and they fall in love, that's not grooming. If they're talking to them about strip clubs, let's put it this way. Trying to figure out what that line is. Let's say a stripper went to a school. Let's say a school had a stripper show and they called it go-go dancing. Go-go dancing is the same thing, but they're fully clothed. Do you think parents would be okay with go-go dancing for kids? No. See, they're lying when they say it's not grooming. If you had pole dancers at a grade school dancing around, yet people are going to be like, wait a minute. But see, the thing is, people are ignorant to what drag shows really are. And they say, it's a costume party. But then they bring children on stage and have them rip their clothing off. So this Postmates stuff, it's disingenuous, it's corporate, it's a lie, it's BS. What they're going to do is they're going to say that videos like this are homophobic and, my issue is the public gratuitousness of their actions. I remember when I was a little kid, my family owned a cafe on North Halsted in Chicago. It's Boys Town. Where the cafe used to be, it was called Java Joe's, is now called the Kit Kat Club. I think so. It may still be there. I'm not entirely sure. But it used to be called Java Joe's, and there was a little stage there, and there was coffee and sandwiches, and it was a gay neighborhood. So a lot of the customers were gay, and I was told it's all about love. People just want to love who they love. And I said, okay, yeah, I don't care. They said, it's none of your business. And I said, you're right. I don't care. And then I'd walk down the street, and I would see images in the storefront windows that were overtly sexual. I would see all of it, and I would think to myself, like, I don't understand. I thought it was about love. Then the Pride Parade would happen. And my mom would say, you can't go outside during Pride, because I was, 10 years old. And then I was like, why not? And they'd say outright, because people are doing inappropriate things. Okay, well, what were they doing? There was a guy walking around with a kilt made of leather straps and nothing else. So you could see everything. Like, it did not cover anything. There were women totally nude walking down the street, dancing around and strutting and That was normal. I remember I had friends who went to a Pride event and they got naked. And I just thought, I thought it was about love. I don't understand why people are jumping around naked and stuff. And why there are mannequins that are anatomically correct that are performing adult activities on each other in these windows. Because I guess the issue wasn't really love, was it? No, a lot of it is. And that's the part that I'm fine with. But this is lying. And what the Postmates thing is doing is lying. Shock content so that when people invariably say, yo, you crossed the line, they go, bigot. And that's the line they're going to play. And they're unashamed, that's right, we're doing this. Sure. Where are the commercials from Del Monte or Dole about bodily fluids? Where's that? Yeah, because they know it's not going to work for them. Postmates is just flailing in the wind, and it's weird. Whatever, man, I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.